The Sony Xperia 1 Mark 6 is finally where I'd like it to be. It's no longer just aimed at pro level users. It's now very simple to use. Anyone can use it, just point to shoot and you get a good result most of the time. They've also streamlined it so you don't get all that camera apps that you normally get without compromising on the camera quality or actually even the pro level usage. But is it a little too late for Sony though? First, I want to commend Sony for sticking with Xperia range, even though they're not as popular as the likes of Samsung, Apple iPhones, and even some of the Chinese brands on the market today. This is still a very good phone to buy, even though the pricing might still be a bit like, I'm not sure, and it's not available in some parts of the world, but this is actually a really good device for once. Let's start with the design. So when you look at the design, it's very nice in terms of the size, the aspect ratio. Everything just feels really nice in hand to hold. It's just perfect, in my opinion. I actually end up carrying this a lot more than I thought I would in terms of using it daily on day-to-day basis. We look at the back, we've got Corning Gorilla Glass. It's got a nice finish to it as well. It's got this nice, don't know if you can hear that, it's got nice rough tactile feel to it as well, which looks really good. I like the camera array design. It's got the Zeiss T-Star logo on there. You got the camera there, triple camera setup. So we have a 48 megapixel main camera, 12 megapixel ultra wide, and 12 megapixel telephoto lens in there. We look on the left side, it just sits flush. It's nice as well. It's kind of ribbed, so it gives you that extra tactile feel again when you're holding it in hand. It's squarish, although still nicely curved on the edges. Again, so it's not going to be digging into you if you put it in your pocket or anything like that. And then we look on the right side, we have our dedicated shutter button, which has a nice finish on top of it as well for tactile feel. We got the power button, which doubles up as a fingerprint reader as well, so it's integrated, smart. And then we got the volume rocker just right above that. Up top, we have some of the stuff you won't see on smartphone today. Well, one thing, which is a 3.5mm headphone jack, which means with this, we can still plug in your headphone and listen to music, and probably audio quality will be a lot better as well. And then we look on the bottom of the device, we have a USB-C port, we have a microphone, and also another thing that's missing in most smartphones today, we have a micro SD card slot here. And what I also love is the fact that you don't need a SIM ejector tool to get in here. You just lift it out and you're good to go. And with this, you can expand the 256 gigabytes of storage that this comes with. You can expand that by up to 1.5 terabytes, which is a whole lot. One thing I love about having this there is if I shoot on a drone, which still uses a micro SD card, I can just pop it straight into this device and start editing away or sharing the files if I need to do so. On the front, we have a 6.5-inch Full HD display. Now, don't get put off by the Full HD display because most devices today have like 4K display, 3K display, 2K, whatever. But this has Full HD display because, again, it helps with battery consumption, but the colors are still fantastic. It still looks absolutely gorgeous to watch movies and all that kind of stuff on this device. One thing that Sony have gotten rid of as well is that aspect ratio in terms of before we used to get that, I think it's 21:9 or something like that, but now we have a different aspect ratio. With this, we're looking at 19.5:9 aspect ratio, which isn't too bad at all. When it comes to durability, this is IP65 and IP68 rated as well, which is good, but it does scratch on the back though. I've already got a bit of a scuff on the back just by having it in my pocket. When it comes to the RAM, we have 12 gigabytes of RAM in here, which makes things run very fluidly. If you're running things in background or running multiple applications, this just handles it very well. Now, the screen itself on the front is Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2, I believe is on the front. We have a front-facing camera there, which is 12 megapixel, speaker grill there, sensors and all sorts. We still have the bezel up top and bottom as well, which just makes it look a tad bit old school, but it's not too much that it becomes annoying, but it's very prominent in terms of you're going to be seeing that all the time, especially when watching movies and whatnot. The display is also 120 Hz refresh adaptive, so you can either select in settings to go maximum or just don't have it at all and just let the system do its thing. And if you select 120 Hz, obviously this is going to eat into your battery consumption. There's also a 5,000 mAh battery in here, which honestly will last you more than a day. This I was getting a day and a half regularly on here with no issues at all, which is fantastic. For charging, there's also 30 watt support for wired charging and 15 watts for wireless charging, which is all round just great to have that in there. This is running Android 14 as well, so it's up to date. For updates, I think you get around 3 years worth of updates, which isn't a lot for some, but I think if you consider how fast-paced the world of mobile phones are, smartphones are, this will be old school in no time. So when you get a new device or upgrade in 3 years or whatever, you'll be on to the next latest software anyway. So overall, when it comes to the design and the package itself, I think they've done really well in terms of what you get for this. You're looking at headphone jack, micro SD card slot, and a big display as well. That's still really good, even though it's full HD display. But I think overall they've done really well when it comes to the design. It's very lightweight as well. Honestly, it's so lightweight to hold in hand. It's easy to use, very fluid as well. So this is rocking Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, and when it comes to performance, there's no issues at all. So whether it's you loading applications, whether it's you're gaming, playing Call of Duty, for example, it has no issues running all those things. And one thing I love as well is it stays cool on the most scenario as well. So the only time you feel it starts to get warm is whether you're charging it whilst you're gaming, or which is normal, I guess. And also when you're gaming for a prolonged period of time, I'm talking more than up to an hour worth of gaming non-stop, then you start to feel this get warm, which again, I think is absolutely normal. So when gaming, you also have Game Enhancer that's available, which allows you to look at things like your frame rate, your power consumption, your battery level, and also temperature for the device. If you go to game mode, you can select that as well. So when you go to battery, you can see options available underneath here. You can go balanced as well. You can go optimized, or you can go custom. If you go custom, you can adjust things like your maximum refresh rates. You can go all the way to the top. You got variable refresh rate option available as well. FPS, frame per seconds optimizer, touch response rates. You can switch that all the way to the top. You got things like your slide tracking speed, tap correction rate, and all that kind of stuff that you can do here. And also you can release some RAM usage as well, some resources to make sure that this runs as good as you want it to be. So you can see there the frame rate's gone up in the left corner. Just shows you all the information that you need. And this is always going to be available using that little icon on the bottom left. You also have focus settings, which allows you to turn off things like adaptive brightness or turn it on. You got hide sense bar and all that kind of stuff, just to make sure that you're not distracted when you're gaming. You got display and sound as well. You can do image quality settings on here, so you can change the color tone and the picture mode. So many options available, man. And you got audio equalizer as well to get best out of your audio when gaming, so you get the best sound possible. And then you got multitasking, screenshots. You can also record and stream right from the device. If you look at the settings here, you got the menu type. You can have it so it's floating as an icon. Game mode style as well. You can change from simple UI to analytical UI, and then yeah, just play around with it, see which one you prefer. But as you can see, yeah, we're playing Call of Duty, and things looks very good in terms of how fluid it is. There's no hiccup there at all. Like I was saying, it stays cool under pressure. The only time it does is, for example, I'm in a very warm studio right now, and also this has been doing a lot of benchmarking stuff as well. So even then, it's still not as hot as expect that this would have been otherwise. But as you can see there, it just runs really good. No issue there in terms of, apart from me just dying in this game. But yeah, it's very fluid, very, very smooth in terms of the touch sampling, and also just a screen refresh. So performance for the Xperia 1 Mark 6 is no issue at all. So when it comes to the design, it's fine. When it comes to the package that you get, overall package, it's also fine as well. There's no issues, there's no complaints in those areas. I guess what you guys are really here for is that camera performance. And let's talk about the camera performance. So when it comes to the main camera, it's absolutely fantastic in terms of the quality that you get out of it. Again, like I said, the streamlined app, so you just select the camera app on here and you're good to go. There's also still Video Creator, where you can do some stuff and stitch together videos and stuff like that. You've got Music Pro to record sound the way you might want to record sound. But when it comes to the camera side of things, they've streamlined it. So it's very straightforward. You only have one app and it has everything that you need in that app. The camera interface is also pretty straightforward. So you have Pro mode, where you can select different things and adjust things manually as you wish to do so. You have bokeh mode, which allows you to shoot across the range as well, as you can see there. And you can adjust the level of bokeh. And then you have photo mode, which allows you to select all the focal length. So ultra wide, 1x, 2x, 3x, 7.1x. If you tap that again, you can then go even further in, so it allows you to go up to 21.3x if you want to zoom into subjects, and it starts to become noisy and less stabilization as well when you go further in. And then we have video mode, which allows you to go again 0.7, 1x, 2, 3.5, 7.1, and then tap again to go all the way to 21.3x if you wish to do so. And also in video, you can tap settings. Again, this is what I mean by very easy to use and straightforward. So you have 4K resolution up to 120 frames, 60, 30, and 24 are available as well. That gives you a different cropped factor as well. So you can see there, if I go 30, you can see that it crops differently. And we go up to 120 frames, and then it crops differently as well. You got your light settings and so on, so you can select all those things depending on what you like to shoot. We have slow-mo as well, shooting across all the range, which is great. And then we go to more. This is where you can go into telephoto macro. In telephoto macro, you then have this option to go all the way to 360, so you can zoom really close to the subject, or you can come back to 120mm. And then what you can do is select peak on. So with peak on, you can see when things are in focus. So then you can adjust the focus yourself. You can see the yellow lighting on the subject there to let you know when it's in focus and when it's not in focus. You can see there it goes blurry or not. You can tap areas as well on the screen and it will follow what you've tapped in some cases. But I think to get the best result, you're better off doing it manually yourself to get the right focus to get the shot sharp and focused. We go back out, we have 48 megapixel mode, which gives you that iRes mode as well. We got sample photos from that, which I put on the screen. But yeah, you can select that, which means photos are a bit bigger than they normally would. So do bear that in mind as well. But that's pretty much it in terms of the camera interface. Very straightforward to use. And if you use a Sony camera before, you'll also notice in Pro mode, you can select things like PSM right on the top corner there. So the camera quality itself is very good. When it comes to photography, so when it comes to portraits, when it comes to landscape photography, where it's low light. In low lights, there are some scenarios where it struggles with the highlights on any lights that's in that low light scenario. So if you have like a neon light, for example, it just overblows the highlights in that area. I think video as well is good. The areas where this struggles really is when it comes to that telephoto lens. So for example, when you're doing videos, you start to notice stabilization is off, it's not the best quality. And when you drop down to 2x, the stabilization becomes normal again, it's not too bad. 1x, 2x, absolutely fine. But when you start to step to that variable telephoto lens, that's where you start to see some issues there. When it comes to photography as well, again, telephoto is where you notice some compromise in terms of the quality that you get. I've compared this to the Samsung S24 Ultra, and you can actually see that the quality is much better when you start to zoom on the S24 Ultra, which is also understandable considering you get a bigger sensor and it's just much better in that area. But otherwise though, I think the camera is really good, the lighting is good, everything looks very natural, which is something that Sony is very known for. You don't have to tamper with it too much before you get what you want to get out of it. The only time you might have to do some tweaking yourself is when it comes to that macro telephoto. So you go into the menu, select your telephoto macro settings, and then you have to then adjust or focus manually yourself to get that nice macro shots that you might want to get. It works in videos, it works in photos as well. You also get focus peak settings, which allows you to then make sure that it's in focus. Whatever you manually focus on, it's in focus there. So like I said, to summarize on the camera side, photo in 1x, 2x, absolutely fine. Same for videos. It's when it comes to low lights that you start to recognize some areas where you might need some improvement. And also when it comes to the telephoto, when you start zooming in and out stuff, that's when you start to notice it needs some refinement to get the best out of this. When you go up to the maximum, like above 20x, it's mostly unusable. So I wouldn't even go there. But the standard stuff works fine. You can still share the content that you get off there. So there's no issues there. But yeah, that's the summary there on the camera side of things. And I think overall though, for me, it's something that it's a good phone. It's a good phone, but it might just be a tad bit too late for Sony because this is a package that they should have released in the first place, not something like this that's taken them up to the 6th gen or Mark 6, for example, to get to this level where finally I can recommend this to the average user. I can recommend this to my mum to use, for example. Before you had all this pro level stuff on there, that means you have to do lots of tweaks to get the good shots that you want to get out of it. So that's a shame that it's taken this long to actually get to this level. But yeah, hopefully it's not too late for Sony. But let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have any questions, drop them there as well. I'll do my best to answer. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.